Welcome back to our 4-week Executive Presence Challenge. This is week 2, Demonstrating Confidence. Before we get into the topic for this week, tell me how you did last week. What did you discover from recording yourself and analyzing your communication style, your articulation, and even analyzing how well you listen to others? Was there anything that surprised you in a good way or not so good way? I will tell you, when I record myself and listen back, I do notice that I smack a little bit. I'm trying to work on that. So 2024, I'm going to work on the smacking. Another thing I noticed, and you may have noticed it too, I tend to interject giggles. So I'm getting better at the ums. I don't and as much as I used to. But I do tend to throw in a few giggles like that. And I'm trying to decide whether it's a filler, an interjection. I know sometimes I do it when I'm a little nervous. I tend to do it. So that's something I know that I need to work on. So again, that's the whole point of week 1, analyzing our communication skills to see what we need to improve on or what we're doing well. So there you go. So what did you do well this week? Let me know that, because this week we're talking about confidence in ourselves and understanding our value and recognizing our worth. All right, so let's get into it. So confidence acts like a magnet in the business world, professional world. For those of you who want to enter more of the entertainment space, we have to have confidence. We have to have it inside and be able to demonstrate it on the outside. So let's start with body language. Our body language speaks volumes before we even say a word. So our first tip this week is to stand a little taller. Stand tall with your shoulders back. This posture will help convey more strength and self-assurance. But it goes a little further than that. Let me demonstrate. Many of us spend way too much time on our laptop computers and on our phones, contributing to really poor posture throughout the day. As you can see, our lovely lady here, her chin is set a little too far forward. Her shoulders are up. Many of us have that up and forward slouch to our shoulders, and it doesn't convey very much confidence. So this week we're going to practice rolling those shoulders back, picking the head up, and making sure the head is in line with the rest of the body. You almost want to feel like someone has a string attached to your spine and they are pulling you up nice and tall through the top of the head, elongating the spine. You can see a demonstration right there. So try not to overextend when you're pulling those shoulders back. Nice neutral position with the head in line with the rest of the body. Nice neutral spine position. The next tip is to maintain good eye contact. We touched on this last week when we were talking about listening skills. So eye contact not only shows the listener that we're listening, but that we are confident in our communication skills. A word of caution about eye contact, though, it can be cultural. So if you're one who wants to build your business communication skills and your job or career sends you to different countries and different areas, make sure you're spending time developing your cultural competence. Some people might say your cultural intelligence. If you would like more information on that, cross-cultural communication, leave a comment down below and I'll get working on that for you. But either way, just be aware that eye contact can be cultural, but in general, it's good to make sure you're maintaining appropriate levels of eye contact with those you're communicating with. Next, you want to use purposeful gestures. purposeful gestures can help you put a little energy into your communication and emphasize what you want to say. Let's pause here so I can give you a little demonstration. When we talk about gestures and what to do with our hands, I want you to imagine that there is a box around where your shoulders begin to about your waistline. This is going to be your gesture box. And when you're communicating, especially on stage, I want you to avoid pointing. That can be seen as aggressive to some people. If you need to point, you can bend your finger or use your hand to gesture towards the audience. But in general, as you can see, I'm keeping my hands in my gesture box, showing my palms every now and then. And when we go outside of the box or flail around a little too much, we seem a little chaotic. Avoid this fig leaf pose. It makes you seem a little less confident. The fig leaf pose is the hands on the genitals, and the hands on the hips can be seen as a bit arrogant. So avoid the hand on the hip. If you need it to invoke a little confidence, you can do it every now and then, but avoid this Sears catalog model look. A few more examples here. You see this gentleman again is keeping his hands generally within his gesture box. Of course, he's using his hands to emphasize the points that he wants to make. But in general, he's trying not to move around too much to distract his audience there. Again, and you'll see our lady here, she's going to gesture to the audience a few times, but you'll notice again, she's not pointing and she's keeping her hands in that gesture box. And our last example here, I believe this lady is selling cars. But again, using her hands to emphasize her point only. Try not to move her hands too much, keeping her hands between the areas of her shoulders and her waist. So these are some great examples of what to do with your hands when you're communicating. Next, let's talk about our voice. So again, later on in our challenge, we're going to dive into voice a little bit deeper. But for now, we're just going to talk about how to use our voice to project confidence and self-assurance. Your voice is a powerful tool to convey confidence to your listeners. So tip number 1 this week is to speak with a steady pace. You see a pattern here. Before, when we spoke about articulation, we spoke about not speaking too fast or too slow. Same thing with having a clearer voice. Avoid rushing through your words and take pauses to emphasize what you want to say. And as I just did, when we talk about emphasis, try varying your pitch to put more energy again into what you're trying to say. Project your voice. Make sure your voice is clear and audible no matter what setting you're in. If you're having difficulty projecting your voice, stay tuned for week 3 because we will dive deeper into the strategies to help you with this. And again, if it's just a big struggle for you, then you might want to contact a professional in your area to help you take that skill to the next level. The final tip is to practice speaking with conviction. If you're confident in what you're saying, then other people will be confident in what you have to say. And avoid that monotone type of communication style. Try recording yourself again this week. And if you notice that your voice sounds a little dull, try reading passages with more conviction and more intonation in your phrases. Experiment with emphasizing certain words to convey more confidence. And finally, for week 2, we want to remember that confidence comes from within. So let's explore some ways that we can cultivate self-assurance and have a self-assured mindset. Step 1 is to visualize your success. Not only visualize, but it may be beneficial to even write down where you see yourself in 5 years, 10 years. Be detailed. In 5 or 10 years, where are you? What are you wearing? What are you doing? Who are you communicating with? And how is your communication style affecting those you're communicating with? Picture yourself confidently achieving the goals that you've set for yourself today. Tip number 2 is to embrace your failures. They're simply a part of the learning process. I'll tell you that when I started my YouTube channel, my first set of videos were not very good. I had a really hard time learning how to record and edit videos with good quality. I'm still learning. I even asked for some feedback from friends and family members on how well I was communicating via YouTube. And they gave me some harsh feedback. Some even said that I was quite dull in a lot of my videos. But at that time, I really wasn't projecting my personality. I was trying to hide back my personality for fear of seeming silly or goofy on YouTube. Well, I'm still learning. This is still a learning process for me. And I could have let those early failures take me away from this journey. But I recognize that we all have to learn and grow somehow. So again, embrace your failures and see them as part of the learning process. So just like we embraced our failures, we're going to celebrate our achievements, no matter how small they are. But don't just celebrate on the inside, celebrate outwardly. Like I mentioned before, when I interviewed for that management position so many years ago, it was interesting to see how many people were surprised at all the things I've done and all the achievements I've achieved. That's because I always felt that I didn't want to be boastful. I didn't want other people to say, oh, there she is again, Shavonne talking about herself. But how are other people going to really understand and appreciate your worth if you don't first accept it and second, express your value? So let's end with a mindset shifting exercise. This week, I want you to write down 3 achievements. I want you to write down 3 things that you are proud of and revisit that throughout the week. I want you to reinforce your self-assurance. Have confidence in your journey because this is a journey. It's not a destination. Thank you for joining me for week 2 of our Executive Presence Challenge. I hope this week you will practice self-confidence and you will practice showing that self-confidence to others. If you found this video helpful, make sure to give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and make sure you hit that bell notification so you know when week 3's video is posted. Stay confident, and I will see you in week 3.